Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And a lot happened yesterday, especially on the league play side, but also aBeZy came out with his CDL dream team outside of the Atlanta FaZe, and remarkably similar indeed to what Simp had to say just a couple of weeks ago. And tweeting your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Already outside the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, we're going to dive into all these things that have changed with this update that came through yesterday for Season 4 Reloaded, especially as I said, on the league play side, all of which I believe is now live. First of all, this Crow points out, the issue that prevented players being promoted or demoted to another division has now supposedly been fixed. Often they'll say things have been fixed, so whether they actually have or not, that is another question. But supposedly you're now going to be in the divisional rank that you belong in, whatever that might potentially be. I suppose we'll see how things go. This also, right, we did mention this yesterday, I believe, real quick, but they have now officially confirmed that blueprints and such are going to be in the game. So finally, there are some season rewards. What are we in, like the middle of July? The league play, like it took ages to come out initially, and then it takes ages to even get these rewards in at the point where, like, you know, how much are people actually going to play league play to try and get these things? But, you know, what can you say? Like, I suppose it's better than nothing, right? 10 wins gets you this, 100 wins gets you like an SMG blueprint, weapon, charm, sticker, and emblem. And well, this is kind of what this one looks like on the left-hand side here on the Krig. So pretty cool to see the CDL type stuff finally arriving in the game. But it's like, look, I mean, the league play system in this game, it wasn't great by any means. I'm hoping, and I still have some faith, that Sledgehammer would do a decent job with it next year. Because even though, like, when Sledgehammer initially made World War II, I'm pretty sure Rambo was working for them at the time and probably had some input on actually producing a good rank play system. This time, is it a key focus for them? Maybe not, but they did a great job first time rounds with their previous rank play they had in World War II back in 2017. So with any luck, we might have something similar this year. Maybe some rewards that come into play and just make things a little bit more enticing for new players to get into, and then that might help them, well, discover the CDL and competitive play. Thought I'd mention this as well. Somewhat sad to see this, to be honest, but Standoff Hardpoint has been removed from the league play playlist. I guess the developers couldn't justify it any longer, because the pros, when the Standoff Hardpoint was initially in, they tried it for a bit and they were like, look, we move way too quick on the map, the spawns don't really make too much sense. Also, there was issues, for example, let's say you're like sitting in top green with a Krig, you're looking over towards the tank there and the statue in the middle of the map, and people are trying to cross from playground over towards the crates to get to P4. You can just beam them all the way across the map. There wasn't really a thing back in the day, like the aim assist wasn't as strong, you couldn't just completely dominate someone across the map like that, and therefore, like, it just doesn't play quite as well as it did back in the day. Now, I still feel they play pretty damn well, to be honest, for league play especially, and removing another hardpoint is maybe kind of frustrating, because I'm not sure if it does now reduce the chances of you getting it, or it does increase the chances of you getting a search and destroy as a result, but yeah, maybe it has some sort of impact in that sense. But yeah, they've decided to get rid of it, because I guess the pros aren't playing on it for stage 5, and they were thinking, right, we probably should just align this with what the actual competitive rule set is. But on the more positive end, they are now showing the map and game mode in the pre-game lobby. So of course, this could cause some issues in the sense that, okay, if you see Miami Search and Destroy, you're dipping out of there straight away. That could be a great thing. And I suppose it's better than actually loading into the game itself and then someone decides to dashboard and then you have to wait ages to find a new game. So I kind of get it. At the same time, it's probably going to cause more lobbies to crash as soon as one of the maps that people don't like appears. But to be honest, what can you do? I suppose it's pretty cool to see what was going on like you used to be able to a few years ago back in Black Ops 2. This also was a question from Cruz. What does this mean, new iron sights on some of these weapons? This is what supposedly it looks like right now on the Krig. So not too much difference on the face of it, but on the left-hand side you can see the old Krig. This is the new Krig on the right. So the iron sights have effectively been pushed forward, or like pushed forward on the gun towards the iron sights at the back, I suppose. So it's now smaller in your field of view. Now, of course, like, not many people even use the iron sights on the Krig anyway, but it could be something to consider. I think some pros have pulled it out on occasion. I think maybe Silly's used it from time to time. And well, I don't know, maybe the new one's a little bit cleaner. Also, it's very possible that the red dot sight, when you have that on your gun, like the irons do kind of take up a little bit of your view, like a little bit distracting maybe when you have the iron sights on, because you can still see the irons even though you've got the red dot on. So maybe this is somewhat better. I wonder if you guys could even notice this, to be honest, when you hop into the game for the next time. This as well that Trag added, a 30 kill nuke streak to all Black Ops Cold War multiplayer mode starting this week, except for multi-team gunfights and league play. Now, I understand not putting it in league play. At first I was like, okay, why not, right? If you get a nuke, you probably deserve it. But, you know, maybe players would get on like an 8-9 kill streak, and then they'd be like, all right, I'm not even going to play for the win anymore. I'm just going to play for my nuke and just try and go for that. And maybe that would take away some of the competitive integrity from, well, what league play, well, you know, whatever integrity I suppose league play has left within it. The other thing, though, is the CDL variants, because, you know, it would be kind of funny, right? I mean, look, we've never seen a nuke in competitive play, but Karma got very close indeed. He got a 28 kill streak back in the Black Ops 2 days on Yemen. I'm sure you guys might remember that one, or at least have heard about it. And, well, well, yeah, 28 kill streak, not too bad. But the fact of the matter is, not quite a nuke. I don't think we're going to get a nuke anytime soon in the Pro League. But who knows, right? Like, why not just chuck it in the CDL rotation? So, well, if it does get a 30 kill streak in a competitive match, then they can actually call one in. And that would be, I'm sure, a legendary moment. And, well, if you get a nuke against a pro team, you probably deserve to just be able to win the game and take the L on the other team. Let's talk about this then. So, a couple of weeks ago, there was this that came out from the CDL, some sort of, well, some content that they'd made behind the scenes at the Major, where Simp was talking about, okay, what teammate would he like to team with that he hasn't got the chance to team with yet, and not on his current team, of course. And he was like, okay, yeah, I'd love to team with Dashy. He said it like, okay, he wasn't really sure, but I mean, Dashy was the first player that came to mind. Now, aBeZy yesterday, or a couple of days ago now, did his first ever YouTube video. Great to see more of these players, because this is the thing with FaZe, right? They're so good, and their personalities actually could be really good. Like, I think Simp was one of the most entertaining streamers back in the Black Ops 3 days. And I think they have some great things potentially going on over there. But of course, their focus is on winning and not necessarily on the content side of things. But it's cool to see aBeZy getting into it. First YouTube video is finally uploaded. He talks about, well, a fair few different things. So, too, as you can see on the thumbnail, who's your dream team outside of your teammates? This is the one he goes on to answer. I'll show the clip for you guys on screen real quick.
If I had to pick 3 other players who aren't on my current team, that I would want to team with, it would have to be Shotzzy as my sub, because he's very good at finessing and playing his life. On the flex AR, it would have to be Dashy. He's obviously a very talented AR. And for the main AR, I would have to go with Octane. You know, he's been a very consistent and good AR for the past few years now. And that would be my 3 players I would pick who aren't on my current team.
So, of course, FaZe are an incredible team right now. They're not going to be breaking up anytime soon, even though X has been talking about, right, the fact that, yeah, maybe the salary cap should not allow this to be the case, or, like, this team's just too good. How did anyone let this form? And these types of questions. But eventually they will get beaten and overtaken, and they'll fall off. You know, you would think so. Whether that's in the next, like, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, it's somewhat tough to say, to be honest. But, of course, their current team of Cellium, aBeZy, Simp, and, well, Arcitys is pretty phenomenal. But if aBeZy couldn't team with any of those guys, these are the 3 he goes for. Shotzzy is his SMG duo. I mean, wow, like Simp and aBeZy is a scary enough SMG duo as is. Simp and, I mean, like aBeZy and Shotzzy, or like Shotzi's probably the next guy in that conversation, right, in terms of like having a god tier SMG duo, so Shotzzy certainly makes sense. And then Dashy comes into the conversation, and to me this is pretty interesting, because like a lot of these players, Simp and aBeZy, both have shown a lot of eagerness to team with Dashy. And I mean, Dashy just like, as of late at least, he's been dropping like silent 1.3s. He comes into a series, just like dominates and just drops like an incredible KD, at least statistical performance, and doesn't even like feel like he's breaking a sweat at times, which is obviously very impressive. And at least in terms of which like assault rifle type player shoots the straightest in any game, like Dashy's got to be right up there. His gun skill obviously is incredible, but there has been questions about him in terms of, okay, the results since Vegas 2018, or right at the start of the Black Ops 4 season, haven't really been there, right? So it is interesting to see these players, you know, gassing up Dashy massively and saying that that could be a potential option in the future. Also mentions Octane Sam as the main assault rifle, right, which is also pretty understandable. So I mean, this would obviously be an absolutely disgusting team, to be honest. So I mean, who knows, right? But that is the question to me. The fact that Simp and aBeZy have both talked about Dashy being a potential teammate for them in the future. I just wonder what happens, right, with the OpTic Chicago squad, because you could see a couple more years down the road when Scump and Formula have moved on, maybe they're doing other things, like what happens with that OpTic team? Because at the end of the day, if you're Simp and aBeZy, I'm sure you love being on FaZe, that's like, that's where you've been for ages. But it's not out of the question that they might consider some sort of move to OpTic. It's obviously the biggest organisation. If there was any organisation that was going to tempt them away from their current team on FaZe, I suppose it could be something like OpTic. And if OpTic are looking to build around Dashy and Envoy, or, you know, maybe Scump and Formula, one of them retires at a different point to the other one, who really knows, then it could be an option, right? I just wonder if that will potentially be the case in the future, because this is seem like players that want to team together at some point, and maybe it'll be possible in the future. Probably not in the immediate near term, but something to keep your eyes on at the very least. And talking about Octane as well, like it's pretty cool to see actually the fact that Octane's stock is still where it is among players like aBeZy, because obviously Octane's had a very difficult couple of seasons on Seattle Surge, but clearly a lot of players still rate him very highly indeed, and that's one of the reasons why in this free agency period coming up, I imagine he is going to be a free agent. I probably don't think that even if Seattle offered him a massive bag, I'm not sure he necessarily trusts the organization enough to give that a go. He probably wants to go somewhere else. Of course, Thieves is the biggest target that people are talking about right now, but whether that could work with Slasher, depending on their results for the rest of the season, is a question. But it just does go to show how a high Octane stock remains, even after a difficult couple of seasons, because of what he's done in the past. And again, like Octane and Dashy, in terms of like assault rifle players that shoot incredibly straight, they've got to be right up there, right? And well, clearly that's what aBeZy is we're looking for in some teammates going forwards. Wanted to finish off the video quickly with some discussion on ranked play then, right? Because this is a lot of the concern that we've had from people talking about these last couple of weeks, the impact that it might have on, on the future titles, right? Because right now, if you're a pro player, what do you actually play after you get off scrims? You might play league play, but the problem is with playing league play is that there's barely like any content to be made if you're a pro. You're effectively just pub stomping in what is, meant to be a competitive game mode, but it's really not, right? Back in the World War II days, it was so good when the World War II ranked was like, you could hop on, you could watch streams, and people would just be going into league play as a pro player. They'd have like 2,800, 2,900, like 3,000 elo. Guys like aBeZy that had 2 accounts at the highest elo rating on the ladder, and every single game you would just be matching up with other pros and other top amateur players, and it was great to see. Like, that's exactly what you want pretty much out of a ranked playlist, and stuff like that really engages new people, but also it makes it entertaining for pros to play and to watch and to stream, and that's a big thing, to be honest, in terms of getting players in to a ranked playlist that actually has some impact, and people might actually want to play, to be honest, and enjoying competitive Call of Duty at a pretty high level. And also Octane's talking about it from the perspective of like the in-game content to be made, because as he says, I really hope League Play next year is embraced to the fullest. My YouTube went from fun weapon builds to majority in-game content in Modern Warfare, so even last year that didn't really have League Play as such, it was like the CDL playlist, it was still better than this year, as Octane's saying, for making content, because other games have so many options, but COD War's just so dead for in-game content right now. Octane's kind of struggling to find out with ideas, and I suppose a good League Play system should help that in the right direction. Just wanted to finish off with this clip then as well, because speaking of Octane, he was on the podcast yesterday, and speaking of Simp as well, and some of the OpTic guys was talking about the difference between Prime Scump and Prime Simp, who would he take at his peak, and talks about, okay, yeah, Prime Scump back in Advanced Warfare was absolutely untouchable, and of course he had the rest of the dynasty around him, but that was like the best player that he's ever played against individually, but also saying that, well, Simp, he might not even be at his prime yet, which is, well, certainly a scary thing for the rest of the scene. But it's truly take your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I'm growing the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much, as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Like, this is Seth's best year since, like, BO3. Like,
yeah.
It's insane how good he is at this game.
What do you think? Prime, did you ever play against him in, like, his prime? What would you say is... Yeah.
AW is by far Seth's best game. That guy was untouchable. Yeah? Yeah.
Who, in their prime, how close Simp and Seth?
I don't even know if Simp's hit his prime yet, which is terrifying. I mean, just from what I've played,
yeah,
AW Seth still, because just the jetpacks just made it feel overwhelming, and also it was the dynasty, so I guess there was like that backbone factor. Like, okay, if I kill Seth, and Matt's behind him.
Now, put on top of that the fact that he was creating content.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's not hard.